Was there any modalities that you found that were like in terms of rehab recovery, keeping yourself energized, or like for example, like hot and cold, like ice bars with a hot shower and alternating between the two. For me, I found that delays the delayed onset of muscular soreness, the DOMS that people get,
Yeah.
where it's like the 2 days after the workout, oh, you're really sore. But I found with the ice bath and the hot cold actually took that DOMS away. So it was like I was
Oh,
actually fine
that's
2 days
interesting.
later. So well, yeah. So is there any sort of modalities? Yeah, because you know that feeling of DOMS where it's like two
Oh,
days
yeah.
later, it's like yeah.
Nah, of course.
But
3 days. Yeah.
yeah, and I just
DOMS is
found
interesting.
yeah. So do you have any thoughts on that? And is that or like yeah something like for example like that you found the modality that's like really bang on can um
I actually
help with
saw an
something.
interesting. I actually watched an interesting thing on Joe Rogan from a guy called Faraz Sahabi, who is basically George St. Pierre's trainer, right? And Joe
Hmm.
Rogan had him on, and Faraz Sahabi did this thing. He said, if you train your body properly, he goes, you shouldn't get sore. And I was watching this going, what? And he basically said, look, he goes, it's not about intensity. He goes, more than anything, volume is the most important thing you can have. And he explains, you do jiu-jitsu. He goes, you come in and you roll on the mats 3 days a week, but you train with 5 opponents, right? By the end of those 3 days, you're rooted. You can't do any more days. He goes, I do jiu-jitsu. And he goes, oh, what did he say? He goes, you do 3 opponents. No, you do 4 opponents. He goes, I do jiu-jitsu. And he goes, I train 5 days a week, but I do 3 opponents. He goes, at the end of the week, even though you've trained with more partners than I have, I've trained more hours than you have. I've got more volume than you. And then he goes, what you should do, he goes, if you're training, he goes, consistency and volume is more important than intensity. Intensity is good, but it's not the most important thing. So I actually started training and it was really interesting. He goes, if you do this, you should never get sore. He goes, so if the most you could do was ever 10 pull-ups, he goes, the most I will do with you is 5. He goes, why? He goes, because I would like you to do 5 tomorrow and the next day and the next day. So instead of just doing 10 in one day and that's all I can do for the week, I do 5 every day. So I've done 25 by the end of the week. And so I started training 85% of my maximum and I did 16 reps instead of 8 to 10 reps. So then by the end of the week, I've trained twice the volume of what I used to, but I don't get sore. And the results were amazing. I enjoyed training more. And I was actually getting stronger following this process. And so I never would go heavy. I would go 85% of my max and I'd do 16 reps on everything. So, if you're doing 8 to 10, you're pretty much doing double the volume in the same time of training. It was pretty interesting, but that actually stopped my DOMs. I wasn't getting DOMs at all after that. Pretty much just on my legs a bit, but everything else, nothing.
Yeah, and I guess like each rep is way easier, so you can do it quicker. But
You're still
sometimes it's
going
not about how
heavy,
quick. Yeah. But it's like
just not maxing out. You're 85% of your max.
yeah, it's still
I was doing like 100-pound dumbbells and, I'm doing sets of 16 instead of doing 120-pound dumbbells and pushing out 8 and, possibly tearing my shoulder or whatever else. That 20 pounds less, I'm still able to, push out, your 16 reps or your 14 reps.
yeah, and that's a good way. That's actually I think that's a really good modality for injury prevention. Um,
Yeah.
it's interesting. So your DOMS, so it's like that's two modalities that we came up with or that we mentioned for DOMS that actually work. So yeah, that's it's like with everything. It's like you can come at things from different angles, and there's no one way to do it. Like which is the way they
It's like
teach us.
martial arts.
Mm, Yeah. It's like
It's exactly like martial arts. Yeah. Jiu-Jitsu, all different styles. It's
not
that's
just
exactly
martial.
right.
It's not just martial. It's an art. And the art is you learn the moves. And then the good thing about jiu-jitsu is within the art, it's the only art where you can go 100%. So you can actually improve tremendously and like be so awesome on the, like if you're so confident on the ground and close quarters, any fight that ends up close, you're going to be extremely comfortable. But it's interesting.
What's interesting about
different. Yeah, go on.
What's interesting about martial arts. My martial arts instructor, Tom, he said any martial art that ends in do is primarily sport. Any martial art that ends in jutsu is the art of killing. It's like martial. It's actual martial art, as in life or death situation. Martial art, right? He said anything that ends with do, like aikido, taekwondo, they are karate do. They are sport. Anything that ends in jutsu, like there was aikido, but then
judo.
there used to be, judo, but aikijutsu. Aikido is the sport version of aikijutsu. Aikijutsu was actually lethal. That's why they called it aikijutsu. Brazilian jiu-jitsu, Japanese jiu-jitsu, because it's the art of martial, like killing.
Well, it's the samurais.
You can actually end it.
Yeah, the samurais were using it for when you lose your sword, you could still fight. And even like the aikido sort of styles with the swords. But yeah, it's like, well,
it's interesting though. People don't know that about martial art. When you look at the jutsu and do, that's how he explained it. He goes, do is sport. Jutsu is you have you learn how to defend yourself and fight to the death. It's like fight to the death.
Yeah.
Because, you get someone in a triangle, you don't let them go, that you can kill them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You get someone in a rear naked choke, you can kill them.
Yeah, and that's happened lots of times.
Yeah.
Very easily.
That's why it ends in jutsu. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
I'm actually like this conversation, not just talking about the bloody pandemic for once. I absolutely love martial arts, and it's good to actually get to talk about it for once, to be honest.